What's up, Sassy Gamers, and welcome to another SASS Interviews. This is Mike, or Zycia here. I'm alongside with Brian Phoenix Nova, and we also have a special guest today is Manny Mallea from Sunset Dreamland Studios. So welcome, Manny. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hopefully your flight wasn't too bad.
Nice to be here.
Awesome. So I'm here to talk to you about a couple games that we actually talked to you about during PAX when we saw them back when we went to PAX 2022 this year, PAX East. We actually met you at an event called Made in MA, which stood for Massachusetts, which was actually really cool. That was a side step. It wasn't part of PAX necessarily, but it was a convention or an event, I guess you could say, with just a bunch of different local people from Boston that had different games that they were trying to reveal as far as game developers and such. And we came across yours, and I actually got to play one of them, and that's one of the ones we're going to be talking about today, which is Soul Iron Tail. So tell us a little bit about Soul Iron Tail.
Yeah, sure. So just to give the elevator pitch, Soul Iron Tail is a momentum-based platformer where you are this little guy that has a very long tail. You use it to slide, to explore, to bash enemies, to all in an effort to save a family which you may or may not still have.
Awesome. Yeah, and one of the things that kind of caught my eye when we were there is the fact that it was on we came to your booth because of another game, which we'll talk about shortly. But you were like, hey, well, that guy's playing this. Like, why don't you play this? And you handed me a Steam Deck, which happened to be one of the developer kits that was available at the time, since you're obviously a developer. And I played your game on that.
There is nothing else in the world that you could have done that would have made Mike happier at that moment, other than handing him a Steam Deck and say, hey, here's this game running on this developer kit.
Yeah.
I swear he was about to faint.
It was awesome.
If you noticed, my booth was set up to be a trap. You see, you got the big TV with the super cool Game Jam game that's just like, what is this? And then you looked to your bottom left, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, is that the Steam Deck? Has that thing even come out yet?
Right. And that's pretty much what it was. I was lucky and actually got mine in right before our trip to Boston. And so I was able to play on the plane and such. But it was kind of nice to see another one kind of in the wild. And then when I found out it was a developer kit on top of that, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But no, what's really awesome is I got to play the game on the Steam Deck, which, for one, being a device that just came out and obviously a game that you made, running on it was already impressive. Just to see if, not to your work, but just more of the Steam Deck, is it going to run? What is this like, But it worked flawlessly. It was a great game, I guess, to actually kind of showcase on that device. And obviously it's available on Steam, so that's why it's a Steam Deck playable game. I wouldn't say it. Would you consider this verified? Is this verified through Steam, or is this?
It is not officially verified, but I've joked with my developer friends that it's Manny verified. So
it's well, I mean, it played fine. I would have never thought like this wasn't a verified Steam Deck game. Like, it seemed like it worked.
Well, and I loved the part about the game that it is deceptively simple controls. I mean. Yep. It's very funny that between chapters, it's like showing the controls up there, and it's like, oh, left, right, down to slide on the left Joy-Con, and then A to jump, and X or B for attacking with your tail, and then with hold modifiers on both of those. And as you can see, when you're holding down and sliding as it's going right now, it's got some amazing momentum and movement. I mean, I can say pretty much unironically that this is the better Sonic game already in some ways, because there is a sense of speed. There's a sense of jumping, and you're collecting the golden scarves and everything, at least on the early levels I've seen so far.
Oh, they're still there.
Deceptively simple controls, so easy to pick up, but at the same time, they're quite complex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one of the. Well, that's one of the things I noticed as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean that was a big challenge with development. I think for the longest time, I really wanted to make sure that it felt really satisfying to go from, kind of like dashing and attacking to sliding and then going back and forth between the two, and to see some of my playtesters figure out the nuances to that and realize, wait a second, you can from this, if you dash and then slide from this angle and then you hit this jump in a specific way, you can gain a ton of speed, or you can hit this this platform way up there. In fact, I've even put Easter eggs for platforms that you wouldn't imagine you could get to. Or
yes, you did.
Yeah.
And you started driving me crazy when I started playing this on the way home, because I started realizing that, there are things that aren't necessary. For example, the stereotypical, instead of going forward, you just immediately go backwards, and there'd be something there. And I'm like, okay, this guy, I see what he's doing.
Yeah.
But actually,
There's
to mention
alternate paths, and and sometimes if you want to go back and collect something, you can. But other times, once you go down an alternate path, you're pretty much stuck. It's got some amazing platforming in it for, again, what is deceptively simple looking from the initial control scheme. It's really incredible.
Yeah, what I wanted to mention, though, is, as we said this, because Manny's been saying this a lot, too, I wanted to do this, I want to do that. So Sunset Dreamland is actually a studio ran by just Manny. Manny is the developer, the artist, and all that fun stuff. So this is his game that he created, and it's obviously it's a lot of work, and it's pretty awesome, and it definitely plays really well. I remember actually being there, and there was something that I did, and you were like, "Oh, I haven't seen anybody do that before." I was just like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, the sliding mechanics really have. There's so much opportunity to just go wild and figure out some way to, just get that extra speed or get that extra, positioning that you go somewhere where I've never seen, or pass through something and just zip through things. It's very, it's speedrun capable. That's what it is. It's a
absolutely
capable game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what platform did you build this on?
So I built this on PC with the target of PC. But in the event that, let's say, I wanted to release this game on Switch, which I haven't, but I'm still thinking about that. I really wanted to make sure that the art itself was tailored towards the base resolution of the Switch, which is 720p. What ended up happening is that I released on Steam, but hearing the Steam Deck getting announced and getting super excited, and once I actually got one in my hands, which was all the way back in I think late October.
Jealous.
I soon discovered that, wait a second, this thing actually my game was made to scale to a resolution like this, and it looks beautiful on the Steam Deck. I've posted on Twitter before, but the fact that my game actually I think it's 2x scale, so each pixel is actually 4 pixels on the Steam Deck, so it looks just so crisp and so wonderful. It made me a very proud
awesome.
Developer.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. How convenient for Steam to release a device for you.
Yeah.
No,
so
that's awesome.
What engine did you build it on?
I built it on the Unity engine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very
cool.
popular one.
Yeah.
Although I heard that you've been playing around with the newer engine.
Right. I've been recently working on an Unreal Engine 5 project, and also just tweaking out with Unreal Engine 5 in general. Just trying to get a good bearing on the engine and understanding what kind of things I could make with it and how it makes my work easier.
Right. So we mentioned earlier, you said you were working on you had worked on a Game Jam game, which was the game that you kind of like you said, trapped us into coming over first. And that game was called Airtime. And it was a Game Jam game that you worked on with a few other friends or other people. I'm not sure if they're friends or not. I don't know how serious it could get. But yeah, it's so tell us a little bit about that one. I remember it was basically a skydiver falling from the sky. And it kind of reminded me a lot of what's the game on I think it's Knights or on Sega. There was some sort of game that you kind of... Yeah, something to that nature. There was another skydive game. I can't remember what it was, some parachuting thing that it kind of gave me vibes of that. But yeah, tell us about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So, Airtime was developed with a couple of people that I had met through the Game Developers Conference through a program called the Conference Associates, and that's like kind of like temporary staffing position where we are able to support all of the attendees of GDC as much as possible. So. You meet all of these people, like I think like 300, 400 people, and you become friends with everybody. And we just decided for Ludum Dare 50, I think it was like Ludum Dare 50, that we would work on this game. And, after a while, we just, like after just a couple of hours of tinkering, we eventually decided on this, this skydiving game that was more about keeping yourself like in the sky as much as possible with all these crazy things, whether it be clouds that have trampolines in them or like birds that explode.
I think there was a plane at one point. Did I see a plane like you were kind of like almost going to fly into it? Or?
Yeah, there's a plane too.
Planes, birds, like there's all these things. It's like anything you see moving as you're going down to the ground, you're like, I need to run myself into that so I can bounce back up and have as much air time as possible. Because I remember playing that through, I think twice, and then some other people were walking up, and I literally changed to describing the game to them because you were describing Soul Iron Tail to Mike at the time. So,
it was a really popular game at that event. In fact, one of the additional things that I did exclusively for that event was to do a wacky thing where you could actually type into the Sunset Dreamland Discord any message you want, and it automatically appears as a platform within Airtime. That blew people away. That's just
awesome.
All of these messages appearing. If you're like, well, how did you do this? What is going on? And it just said, take this card. This card takes you to my Discord. All you need to do is just type away, and all of a sudden your message now becomes a platform, and you can see it through everyone's gameplay.
That's awesome. That's super cool. What an idea.
Mike absolutely loves games that break the fourth wall and make him think that someone's messaging him.
I think I also made it so that the more emojis or reactions that you put to a particular message, the higher it makes you go up.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's funny. No, that's super cool. So I got a couple questions for you. So like, how did the name come about? Like, so Sunset Dreamland, like where did the studio name come from?
So there's a lot of things about Sunset Dreamland. The name itself. I think a lot of it came from. One thing is I'm a big fan of like the Kirby games. And I wanted to have Dreamland in there. I just thought it would be nice, like a cutesy name.
Well, if you could see it, but yeah, a little Kirby.
But I think the reason why I call it Sunset Dreamland is mostly because of like a kind of a dream that affected me like a long time ago, where I think I was like sitting down in front of this giant window that just showed me like the horizon and just this big sunset coming down. And if you look at the logo of Sunset Dreamland, like that's what it is. It's a window with with the sun just
cool
going down or going up. So that's where it came from.
Sweet.
Well, there's certainly that makes sense, because there's certainly like even just in Soul Iron Tail some dreamlike qualities to some of the aesthetics that are around it.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll just say, how did you start? Like, obviously, you said this is just you. What made you decide, like, hey, I'm going to make games and I'm going to do everything?
So originally, it wasn't just me doing like the art or the programming or the design or the yada yada yada. I originally had an artist who helped out with some of the concept art. Her name is Ellen Chen, and she was very fantastic. We had worked on a game previously before that with another company, actually the same organization that made an MA, funny enough. It was a mobile game called Little Grim. eventually, just because I think we were like, a few months out of college, things like we'd been getting very busy with work, so we parted ways a bit, but on good faith, of course. But I still wanted to really focus on finishing this game up. So I pushed hard as much as I could to kind of like get like everything done with like all of the ability that I could have, or that I have. Of course, I will say that to also include like some other people who helped in the development. I also had my oldest sister, or one of my older sisters, help me with some of the character design for the Iron Tail, as well as having some contractors for music, because music is just absolutely something I wouldn't be able to do. But like, aside from that, like I spent like all this time working on like all this art and all this programming and all this design, and playtesting and playtesting and playtesting, and it just led to a fantastic product.
Yeah, and I will say actually the music was well done. So kudos to the contracts that you sent out there, because the music fits the game perfectly. Like it was another part of the thing that kind of sucked me into the game, outside of just the gameplay mechanics. Like a game has to have good music, a good soundtrack, good score, and I think you definitely nailed it there.
Yeah, and that's always a tough thing too, especially when you're a sole, single
Iron Tail
person studio, and to like step back and say, okay, I know I'm not good at this part. I need to outsource this to someone else. That's got to be difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Actually, I'm currently rooming with someone who is doing that exact same thing. But yeah, I mean, these like working as like kind of like a single member studio is very tough, but it's also very rewarding, because you see people like say, wow, like how did you do all of this? Even given like the fact that I have a full-time job, how do you do this? Like with such little time,
No sleep. That's how you do it.
Yeah, well, here's to
lots of cocaine.
Your studio becomes your full-time job, because
really,
it's much deserved.
Absolutely. So I guess, is there anything about Soul Iron Tail that you would wished you did differently?
If there's anything about it, I would say, honestly, just like a little more, a little like kind of a more time to make more content, because the game is very short. I'll say the game is very short. I've had most friends have been able to beat it within like an hour and a half, or 2 hours. But I really pushed to make sure that like the quality of the levels was great. That like even when you're done with the game, you want to try to aim for a good ending. You want to collect all of these collectibles, or get like all of the badges that are possible to kind of like achieve.
Did you hear that, Brian? He said aim for a good ending, meaning that there's multiple endings.
Yeah,
I haven't beat this yet.
I caught that.
But now you've ruined me. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, even there's a reward for 100%ing the game. So
awesome.
Yeah. And and I should mention, because people are gonna go nuts, but like the bowling alley. I don't know. Nobody's found the bowling alley yet, and I'm waiting.
What do you mean, this bowling alley? No. No, I haven't. No, I'm gonna have to go find that now. That's awesome. Yeah. Like, there's always an Easter egg. I will say, you did it. Like I said, we mentioned that earlier. Like, there's a lot of those in this game, and I could tell just by playing it, the little playthrough that I did play on the way home. It's definitely great. So cool. So Game Jam games. Is there anything else you're currently working on, or any other projects for Sunset Dreamland that you want to talk about? Maybe upcoming, or is kind of hush hush right now?
Hush hush. But I mean, one game I can mention I was working on with Game Jam with the same exact people, actually, or well, almost the same exact people. Was this like we were being very kind of like ambitious, but it was a online multiplayer. Was it like capture the flag type of, or like capture point type of game, where you're just all like these tiny cats in this backyard smacking away enemy cats with cucumbers and broccoli.
Oh my god!
And this whole thing is like networked multiplayer, and we did it. We tested it, and it worked. but we realized like there was like way too many bugs with like the cucumber that we just decided, you know what, we're gonna leave it offline for now and just post it on itch. But I thought it was the funniest thing in the world to work on.
That's hilarious. What's the name of that game by chance? Is it still we can still find it, or?
Let's see. I think it's like CAT. I think something like that on itch.
Yeah,
Okay, like
it's like
It's
you
like,
call
yeah,
it
it's
a
like
bug.
cat. C.A.T. or something like that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. If you search up airtime, you'll find I think the developer who actually pushed, or you know, the developer profile that actually pushed it out. You'll see it on their games. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the things that you call bugs are the things that another game jam that became a game, Goat Simulator. They just call
Yeah.
this hilarity ensues.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, like I'm a big fan of the game physics subreddit, and it's always like the most random things that like all of a sudden happens when, you know, you just touch a button or something. So that's really cool. So we have 5 questions that we typically ask all of our guests, and we're just going to start at the top and go through.
Sure. Go ahead.
Manny, what is your favorite animated character? Now this can be from game, movie, cartoon, anime, comic, anything.
Oh dang, that's a tough question. If we're gonna say games only, I'm just gonna say like if we say games only, I think obviously Kirby. I've mentioned Kirby before, but like it's such a simple but perfect like character design, mixed with like the fact that that character design can express so many different emotions and turn into so many different things that it's just it's genius. And I just love the cute little pink puffball. Honestly, if we bring up like cartoons, I'm gonna go back to like when I was very little and say Scooby Doo, and that is just because Scooby Doo, like I mean the series Scooby Doo, just introduced me to mysteries, to which I love mysteries of all sorts, but also honestly like it got me over my fear of like I think like super big dogs when I was little. I was like super scared of them. But like the fact that you saw this dog that was like so loyal and so helpful and so friendly, to the whole gang, I was just like, oh well, maybe those like big mean dogs aren't so scary.
Awesome.
When it came to food, he'll eat them out of house and home.
It's true.
Oh yeah. No, I love. Like it always gets me hungry whenever I see that. Just look at this gigantic sandwich.
Did they not? Yeah, exactly. The giant sandwich. That's what I was going to say. Did they not make the best sandwiches every time?
I think those were innuendos, but okay.
Those were amazing sandwiches.
So, okay, my question's going to be, so what game do you play or played that you would say you'd be embarrassed about telling your friends?
Oh, that's a fun one. I don't play it a lot, but I
Disclaimer.
a disclaimer. But I will say that let's see. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Was my childhood, and I haven't played the physical game in a long time. But like every once in a while, I'll just run the free-to-play Master Duel, and I'll play like some games, and even with some friends, and I'll have other friends like messaging me like, "Do you play Yu-Gi-Oh? Like what?" It's like, isn't that from like the early 2000s or something? Why are you still playing that? It's like it's still fun.
I mean, if it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a brain teaser. Honestly, it's great. It's super complicated now, but I don't care. I love it.
Was it Yu-Gi-Oh! That just printed a whole bunch of cards because there was a shortage of cards? Or was that Pokemon?
I'm not sure. I know the
two of them printed like 500 million cards or something like that because they were like, oh, there's a shortage of all the cards out there, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll print a whole bunch more.
I don't think there's I don't think there's a shortage of Pokemon cards, so maybe most likely the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ones. I go to the flea market every weekend. There's always Pokemon cards everywhere. It's crazy.
Flea market, but the new packs, man, people get violent about picking up the new packs.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could eat one meal anywhere in the world, where and what would it be?
I'd say for, like, I guess, just because my family originates from Chile, and one of the dishes I absolutely love there, which is surprising because it's not what you expect from a place from South America, but like, it's called, I think I have it right here. It's called lomo a lo pobre. And it's basically, you have a bunch of fries, French fries at the bottom. You put steak on top of that. And then on top of that, you put 2 eggs.
Oh,
and then you just cut it. You just cut it, and it's just like, it's amazing. And I love it. I love it so much. It's so delicious.
I mean, who wouldn't love that besides Mike?
Yeah. I was gonna wait for him because he's like, I don't know what it's called. I was waiting for him to say like pizza, and I'm like, all right, get out.
Now, okay, if we're gonna talk about pizza, I mean, I'd love to go to Italy and like maybe try some pizza there. But yeah.
No, I thought you were gonna say from Chile. You were gonna be like pizza. I was gonna be like, oh my god, get out.
No.
Okay, so going back to games, what is a game that you like that you didn't think got a fair shake or was really overlooked by everyone else?
I'll say Frogger Temple of the Frog for Game Boy Advance, and that's mostly due to nostalgia and also because I love my classic games. But that was the first game I ever owned, and I actually played it. I mean, I played it recently, and I actually beat it, and I was like, "This is a good game." I know people like the original Froggers, but like they got to try this one out. This is a pretty good game.
But does it have a bowling alley in it?
No, it doesn't. I will say it lasts as long as my game. So, same gameplay length.
Fair
enough. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the last question I got for you is, if you could credit one person or experience from your past, which contributed to where you're at today, who or what would that be?
Well, I have to say Mastigi / Monty Sharma, who runs Mastigi. So Mastigi is the organization who ran Made Anime that you guys we met from. You met at that event. But they were actually at my college before it shut down, Becker College, and they had programs that actually put you in the perspective of like an actual studio, and that got everyone who did it, who actually like participated in that, to like a bigger understanding than most game dev students, I would say, and that absolutely helped me where I am today. Whether it's working in my own studio or working my full-time job, or how some of the other people, some of the other alumni of I'm going to say alumni of Mastigi went on to do like crazy things, selling game, working on games, even solo projects that ended up selling, thousands of copies, and like going on all these different platforms. There's like so many examples of these people who've come out of Mastigi like that, or have gone to really big companies. So
awesome,
100% them.
Sweet. Well, that's really cool. I never knew about that, but that's really awesome to hear, and I'm glad that not only you, like you said, but other people have also benefited from that. So that's really neat.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say hi, Monty, if you're watching.
Yeah. So I guess, so how can people find you? How can they find Soul Iron Tail right now? I mentioned it's on Steam, but is there anything else you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So Soul Iron Tail's on Steam and itch.io, along with, it's on, I have a ton of other things on itch.io as well. So please go check out, Manny Mallea on itch.io, because there's a ton of stuff there too, including Airtime.
Yeah, and how much is Soul Iron Tail or Airtime or any of the other games?
Soul Iron Tail is $4.99. All of my other games are free.
Oh wow, that's a bargain. Tell you. Speaking of flea markets, no.
$5 for
Yeah, the game's great. The game,
really great.
yeah, 100% worth $5 for sure.
I mean, I went and
Thank you
saw a
very much.
movie the other day, which lasts about the same amount of time, give or take, depending on how much you power play through it. And I know I spent like $40 for that. So
Oh my god.
With the popcorn, I'm guessing, and the drink.
yeah, mostly popcorn. It was
There
two
you
of
go.
us. Yeah, I had to take the wife.
Yeah,
along.
the movie was only $5, but the rest of it was $35. So. Oh man, well, hey Manny, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for hanging out with us today for our interviews, and much success, and hopefully that everything works out with Sunset Dreamland, and hope to see some new projects in the future. Feel free to let us know when you start working on something new. But again, it's Sunset Dreamland. He's on YouTube. He's got different Twitter handles, things like that. Also HIO, check that out. Steam page, check out Soul Iron Tail, and look for that bowling alley. So we'll be looking out for that. But cool. Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.
See ya.